Music and Booze with Mo is produced and distributed by EatsDrinksTV, a service of the Center for Culinary Culture, home of the Cocktail Collection, and First Reel Entertainment, and is available wherever fine podcasts can be heard. The Center for Culinary Culture, telling the story of food and drink, one taste at a time. Welcome to Music and Booze with Mo. I'm Mo Herms, and I've worked in the music industry most of my life, so have met some pretty amazing musicians over the years. I also love a good cocktail, and I've encountered some really interesting bartenders as well. It seems that there's a lot of crossover, so when I can, I like to talk to musicians and bartenders about music and booze. Join us at the bar, won't you? Music and Booze with Mo is brought to you by The Mermaid, a cozy neighborhood bar with an aquatic flair in the Little Tokyo area of downtown LA. Open 7 days a week, featuring tropical cocktails and snacks, The Mermaid also has a daily happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. Follow The Mermaid on Instagram at TheMermaidLA to hear about upcoming events and check them out at themermaidla.com. Head to 428 East 2nd Street, Los Angeles, for a drink. Aaron Post is about to lure us to Tulsa, Oklahoma, not just with his bars, of which there are almost 3, Valkyrie, a speakeasy that's been open about 13 years now, and St. Vitus, an intelligent dance club. From what it sounds like to me, they have draft cocktails and really beautiful LED displays, etc. And soon to be opening Maestro, hopefully this summer of 2025, which will be an agave and Latin food kind of pan-inspired place. But also in Tulsa, you've got the Woody Guthrie Bob Dylan Museum. You have a rich cultural history. And as Aaron puts it, you can really try just about anything there and probably make it work. So let's listen to Aaron and his musical past. I mean, accordion. There's accordion in there, which is kind of amazing. And just his love for hospitality and mixology and how he made it all happen in Tulsa.
So my name is Aaron Post. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I own Valkyrie, which is a cocktail bar, and St. Vitus, which is a dance club, and soon to be Maestro, which is an agave and sugarcane focused cocktail bar and restaurant.
See, that would be my jam. I'm an agave girl to the end of time. I grew up too close to the border to not be. So when did you get started in bartending? Way back when? Or you
Yeah,
said
I
you had a
mean,
wine background, so
yeah, I worked fine dining for the first 3 years of my career in hospitality. Fresh 21-year-old working as a back waiter, and then just as quickly as possible moving my way into the bar, shouldering people out of the way to get back there because I wanted it so bad.
But when you
Um,
started in fine dining, for most people, I've learned that um, picking up bartending was kind of like a means to an end. Like you had to get yourself through college, or you were trying to be a musician or something like that. What was your impetus to starting with the bartending?
well, I guess I should preface this by saying I have a pretty obsessive personality. And so when I decided that I was excited about wine, I got really, really, really excited about wine. And then very slowly developed a passion for service and hospitality. So
Mm.
creating experiences for people just very, very quickly became like the most important thing. And it just so happened that wine and cocktails were the vehicle by which I was doing that. So it was literally, I was dabbling in music production. I was pretty serious about it. And then it came to a head where it's like I have to be honest with what I have the bandwidth for. And I was already doing fine dining and already doing music production. I was like, I think I need to lean into this because I am passionate about it. I can see a road in front of me kind of opening up. Whereas in the music production, it was like I never knew if I was actually going to be able to do what I wanted to do if I
Mm.
went down that path.
That's kind of a tough conversation to have with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
kind of rejiggered and decided, okay, this is more feasible, being involved in
Hmm.
the spirit side of things. So
Yes.
you said you were wine first, so even though you were fine dining, did you ever have aspirations to go the sommelier route and that sort of thing?
No, I actually never really did. I mean, I thought about it. Everyone who works in wine at
Yeah.
some point in time thinks about it. I should just go snag my intro, you know? But it was kind of I don't know. I was too frenetic. I was just kind of all over the place. Like I was already taking trips to learn about wine. I was already studying with colleagues of mine. Um, there was like the Somm thing out there, but by the time I started thinking more seriously about that, my career was already shifting more into management
Hmm.
and focusing on craft beer and then spirits. So it just never happened, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and
Everything
I
got
mean,
too distracting.
yeah, I'll never say never. And still, you could just go down to like
That's a good
Texan
point,
for a week and, like just go knock it out and have some
right?
fun with it, you know?
Right. So you got into bartending overall, and that means that suddenly you're making cocktails and stuff. When did you feel like you really got your chops, doing that? Did you ever have any of those? You said you started in fine dining, kind of, that's impressive. I would think that, some folks work at Red Robin or something like that, and, or just pouring beers or
Yeah.
making Cosmos or something. What was your trajectory there?
Well, I probably thought I was hot shit, like right off the bat, because I was
Well, it
a
was fine
22
dining.
year old. Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, but 20 years ago in Tulsa, craft cocktails were not a thing. Like it
Mhm.
did not exist. I had heard about these places, like Employees Only and PDT, and
Mhm.
and I was intrigued by them, but I hadn't experienced them. I didn't, and I had no frame of reference.
Mhm.
So we were making probably the most stereotypical thing that's coming to your head, for Middle America, and in 2005. What is it? Yeah,
Yeah, so it would
2005.
be martinis, old fashions.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff.
But it wasn't until um, probably like 5 years later that I was really, really digging my heels in, and I was purchasing every book that I could get my hands on. I was making it a huge priority to. We were planning trips around cocktail bars that we wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's in the late um, you know,
Late
aughts is when
2000s, yeah.
yeah, is when
Yeah.
I started getting really serious about it.
What kind of books were you digging up and learning from at that time? Do you remember the ones that really got you going?
Yeah. I mean, I got the Dale DeGroff books. I
Mhm.
got Speakeasy about employees only.
Mhm.
Picked up PDT, The Drunken Botanist,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
um, Imbibe and Punch. Imbibe is the one that I like. I still, well, actually, I still recommend it. Obviously, the one is really surprising to me that I revisited recently. That I'm like, this book is so important. Was The Joy of Mixology
Hmm.
from Gary Regan,
Yes, Regan.
and
Hmm.
it was like I feel like one of the things that we lost over the last decade is we kind of became more technicians than anything else, and and
I
going
totally
back to that
agree.
book, going back to that book was just really refreshing, and I was like, man, this is because it was something that really inspired me, and now I have bartenders that I could literally have sired, Um, and so it's a new generation,
Mhm.
and I take for granted the what I took from that experience of reading that book. So we just recently added it back to our training program because I think it's
Oh,
really impactful,
cool.
even being that outdated, I guess.
That's so funny. That's been a conversation that I've been hearing more the last few months. One being the pandemic kind of killed off mentors, in this industry because so many people just were like, I've been doing this a long time and left, and just kind
Yep.
of mentorship in general. The other, it's an article that Dave Wondrich put out recently about like something like, why is my drink so weird? And it kind
Oh,
of,
that's in my inbox right now.
yes,
Yeah.
you will love it because it kind of speaks to that like there was this moment where, like Dave Arnold, right? He's someone who's the king of the molecular bartending and doing that. But that's because he's a nerd and he totally, truly gets joy out of doing things that way. And I
Yep.
think you saying joy of mixology is kind of like, have people hit a point where just making a regular drink isn't satisfying? Do they want to come up with something crazy to get their name in a book or something like that? And I think it does harken
Yeah.
back to what is bartending? What does it mean? What was bartending for you, back when you were obviously excited about craft cocktails because you were cultivating your travels just to learn more about it. So what was it for you when you started getting excited about it? Why were you so excited about it? What aspects did you love?
I to harken back to something we said earlier, it was like this. What I became passionate about was creating experiences.
Mm.
So you know when like going to employees only. The first time that Maggie and my wife and I went to employees only, it was a late night. Steve Schneider was behind the bar, and I introduced myself. He is just owning the entire room, just the most charismatic, force of nature that I've seen behind a bar. And the energy in the room transcended description. Like there was no explaining to anyone what it
Mm.
felt like in there. And it was a combination of hosting and hospitality and great service and fast-paced energy and some shit talking and just like and great music and just an energy.
Mm.
And him deciding that he got only two hands and he has four shakers, so he just handed me two, to shit. Uh,
You found out you
you
that
know,
you were a bartender, so he's like, you can help right now.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, so what got me really excited was this chance to create experiences and seeing like that's not it wasn't enough to have a great drink. It wasn't enough to have a beautiful space, and all of these are integral to that.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like one of the defining things for me was this notion that service and hospitality were two separate things. You know, did I get what I asked for in a timely manner?
Mhm.
As was my table taken care of and pre-bussed, and was I attended to? That's in my mind, that's bare minimum.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
one-on-one service. Hospitality was just a completely different thing for me. It's like hospitality is about empathy. Hospitality is about how people make you feel. Are you having like personal, engaging conversations with the people you're taking care of, and vice versa? Are you connecting with these people? And you can't fake that.
Yeah. You
So I
had
got really excited about that.
That's really cool. And it kind of made me think of something you'd mentioned to me before was I- like you own spaces now, that you're out from behind the bar sort of, but you've created these spaces and talking about how spaces and community are important and everything. But I seem to remember that you mentioned you kind of came to this also by way of your musical journey too. So because you wanted to create a place where your music and your hospitality could kind of coexist, right?
Yeah.
And is that the dance club? Is that St. Vitus? Is kind of the
Yeah.
epitome of that?
Yeah.
That was my guess. I'm like, I know what St. Vitus means. I know this stuff. So maybe tell me about that whole voyage because I know it's electronic music and everything, which makes me really happy because I love spaces like that. So roll back into when you got, your musical start and everything. I'd love to hear that too, because these are going to combine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, the first CD I ever bought I was a little late to the game, but of CDs,
Yeah.
like and having a CD player. I remember going to a store and buying a CD called Radical Techno,
Ooh. Was it
and
a it was a
and
collection?
Yeah, it was a collection. And
Radical techno.
yeah, so ridiculous.
It's great. You got to start somewhere, right?
But I loved it because I grew up, with classical, with symphonic music. I grew up playing every instrument that I could get my hands on. And I loved really powerful music, Stravinsky and um, 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 Tchaikovsky, Shostakovich, like big, big, powerful stuff. And for me, it was like just a really, really easy transition into electronic music because it was like the whole point was just to make you feel, you know?
Wow.
Um, so and it's funny to me because like, through adolescence and early adulthood, you go through all these different phases and listening to a ton of different music. And now I'm at 42 years old, I'm listening to mostly classical,
You've
symphonic
gone
music,
back.
and electronic music. Yeah.
It's so funny because you know, I know that classical is the foundation, right? And I know that, but I never got crazy into it. But over the years, I've had so many people that I've talked to who have just shown me how it's foundational. And you're being one of these people, like you grew up with that. And when electronic music kind of started coming into the consciousness in a big way, like I want to say like early 90s. I mean, it was always
Hmm.
around, right? In the 80s it was floating around, and even 70s it was there. But when it started becoming like the rave culture and the techno thing, kind of like late 80s, early 90s, I just remember hearing all of that. And like you said, it felt big and it felt exciting. It felt
Yeah.
very exciting. And I got so into it. It was so thrilling. So you wanted to start making this kind of music too?
Yep. I was already a musician, so I was,
You just gave me the
and
most sheepish look, which you totally didn't need to do. It's
I
like,
mean,
but it's so
I'm more
fun.
so just laughing at myself because, yeah, I decide something I'm interested in, and then I'm
You go
gone,
a
for
thousand
just,
percent.
yeah.
Well,
So
what instruments were you playing as a kid?
I started playing the accordion when I was 8, and then
Accordion.
yeah,
Wow, that is not what I would guess as a first instrument, is
that was
accordion.
the first
That's
one.
wild.
Yeah. I was like, what's the least cool one for me to play? Yeah.
I know visions of Weird Al just danced through my head, but we know
Yeah.
he's very talented. And again, I
Well, I couldn't
mentioned to you, my
really,
family's South American, so accordions are all over our music.
yeah, everywhere,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, I love the tradition. That was really kind of a cool world that opened me up to. So if you wanted to go, you know, Latin American, South American, Western European, Eastern European,
hmm
it
hmm
doesn't matter. There is going to be a tradition for accordion in every
Yep.
culture.
So you started with accordion, and then where did you go?
Yeah, and then once I got into school with music programs, I couldn't play the accordion in band or jazz band or orchestra, so I started going, low brass, percussion, double reeded instruments like bassoon. Um, yeah, and just tried to tried my hand at everything.
hmm
And, the focuses were trombone, bassoon, and like non-kit percussion.
Yeah.
Still can't play a full drum kit. I can't,
Did you
I don't have
ever?
the coordination.
Were you ever in any bands at that time, or just like the school bands and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was totally in a ska band.
You were in a ska band? Yes. I mean, you have
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
At that
just
time,
fun.
you absolutely had to. I know. I mean, they are fun. People always they always kind of shit on ska bands, but I'm like, but they're fun. They're successful for a reason.
So much fun.
I'm a
Yeah.
huge rock steady person, but of course,
Okay.
the ska 80s stuff. And then, some of the 90s stuff also really fun. But I lived in the Bay Area when that was happening in the 90s, and there was the
Yep.
whole swing revival. So you also had
Yeah.
those horns. It's a blast. Can't have
Mine
shame.
was like the Toasters
Yeah.
and Mephistopheles.
I forgot about those.
Yeah. It's coming back to me right now too. Like,
Oh
oh
my
man.
God, that's hilarious. There's actually a car that parks in my neighborhood that has a sticker on the back that has a little ska guy on it, and it just says, pick it up,
Nice.
pick it up, pick it up. And I was all,
Yeah, I
I let
love
it,
it.
Still flying the flag.
Don't need no member to let yourself in. You don't need no language or colour or skin. Don't need no money to make a contribution and be a part of the two-tone revolution.
So how did all that stuff translate over into the electronic? Like what was your electronic music like, or what is? I don't know if you still make it.
I don't. I wish I could. You know, I dismantled my home studio and piecemealed it out over the years until I had
Wow.
nothing left of it, and everything was too old to use anyway. But no, so after buying the Radical Techno CD,
Yeah.
uh, I very quickly thereafter I discovered things like Boards of Canada
Mm.
and Aphex Twin, and then just got really really deep into the intelligent dance music IDM stuff. So
Hmm.
Square Pushter, Bogdan
Yeah.
Brzezinski, and some other things that kind of got grouped into that genre. And then I discovered drum and bass, and so like
Mm.
that's all I was producing, so I was just producing the music that I tried to replicate what I heard, and I was
Mm.
very very proud of like the fact that I didn't really use any samples. Everything I was using was created by me. I wasn't using any loops. I was like just agonizing over getting the perfect like snare sound, you know
That's
um
a pretty big deal, honestly, because a lot of the songs I remember, there's a Kate Bush hook, or there's a this hook. There's a little
yeah.
something that you may recognize or is vaguely familiar that kind of pulls you in, and then the rest is all them. So,
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it was the wrong stance to take because there was such a great way of doing it. Like, like Justice. Like
oh,
they're,
I love them.
they're, me too.
I love them.
They're like, they, on, on, on Cross, like there's thousands of samples from music that you and I both know, but we
Mhm.
would never know it
Yeah.
in the music, because because they're just masters of their craft.
Yeah, do so many things with it. So so you've had this love for music, you're creating music and everything. When was it that you were able to marry the two finally? Oh, I'm sorry.
So
By the two, I mean the
no,
cocktail side of it. I forgot to say that part.
no, you're good. After I'm going down this path from hospitality, I'm getting excited about cocktails. I decide that I'm gonna open my own place after being in the industry for a long time, developing that understanding that I have a good skill set for this. Um, I can see my performance. I can see, and I have a vision for what this should be. And it didn't exist in Tulsa. There were no cocktails in Tulsa. I was also trying to like kind of go against some of the things that I'd seen. Like there were too many, for me, too many secret entrances, too many handlebar mustaches, too many 25-minute drink times,
Hmm.
and just a lot of pretense. And we're said like we want to build this place so it's just you can have a 21-year-old DJ sitting next to a 50-year-old attorney, both drinking Black Manhattans and having a great conversation.
Hmm.
So that's what we built. But the idea for a dance club preceded that because I was obviously very passionate about um, dance music culture. It was not the right time. There was no, it was like it would have been 10 years too early.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we built Valkyrie and cultivated that, and then in the late teens is whenever I started bringing back this notion that like, okay, I think this can exist. And so we set out to because, and I know it is a little bit different in on big coastal cities, but in here, it's like the dance clubs are synonymous with just like dark, loud boxes
Hmm.
full of meatheads
Yeah.
and not safe for single women,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, or LGBTQ
Hmm.
um, uh, people, like, and they're just like they're not known for having production value, not known for having good drinks,
Yeah.
and they're definitely not known for playing great electronic music.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, they're kind of a
So
shit show. It's like
yeah,
vodka tonics and, yeah, grossness. Why I don't go to them. Yeah.
yeah, and that's a shame. And
Mhm.
but also, no other idiot's going to decide that they're going to do that in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like I'm gonna take all of these things that I've learned from going to like Tressor and Fabric and
Mhm.
Levain and Black Flamingo and say I'm gonna do that in Tulsa.
So what did you do? When you started doing it, you're like, okay, we're gonna make this better.
Yeah, so we found a spot. It's an alley facing. It's like kind of in a popular area of
Mhm.
downtown, but it's in an alley. It's about 2,500 square feet, so not very big for a dance club. But again, back to like you can do anything in Tulsa. That was one of the reasons. You made it small enough, like you're gonna get people in there.
Mhm.
We wrote all the beverage programs centered around draft cocktails. Um, at that point in time, we had all read Liquid Intelligence. We're all, you know, I had been to a couple of bars in New York that were focusing on draft cocktails. We're
Mhm.
learning everything we could about how to make that work. And we were just like, we solved so many things. It's a high volume casual dance club. Let's serve draft cocktails. And we still offer a la minute drinks there. We've
Mhm.
got about, I think, probably 50 or 60 in our a la minute
Oh my
repertoire.
God.
Uh,
Nice.
and then, like Oklahoma craft beer, which is great. And, some fun boutique spirits. But the whole thing is built around, um, this dance floor that just focuses on just bringing the best, music and experiences into that room as we possibly can. We've got
That's
this massive Danley sound system in there that it just rattles your soul. Um,
awesome.
we did this completely custom LED bar nest over the dance floor that
Nice.
effectively is it's weird. I've never seen anything like it before. It was kind of a brainchild. But it basically serves as like a very low resolution LED screen. So
Mhm.
even though it's just a bunch of LED bars, like it flows and you can make it do just about anything you want.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Um, yeah, so I mean, we were like, how do we make this? How do we make this crazy immersive, just lose yourself experience
Mhm.
for people, which is yeah, and that's just all we set out to do. Like, I'm
Nice.
still in awe that people are like, yeah, cool, we'll check that out. Even if they're not getting the full experience of it. Not everyone's drinking draft cocktails.
Mhm.
Not everyone understands that we've got a 60,000 watt daily system in there.
But it serves a purpose and it's there for those people who need it. And it's
Yeah,
not too big to fail or anything like that.
right. And people
So,
are coming out and dancing.
that's wonderful. It's good to dance. It's good form of exercise, right?
Yes.
So Valkyrie is your first space though. And how long has
Hmm.
that been open now?
We opened in 2012.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's very impressive because that's
thank you.
13 years now that you've had that
It
space.
is.
And so that was your first one. So when you were going into that, what was that process for you? I'm sure it was a little daunting because you're like, I'm doing it.
So, I started dating my now wife in August of 2011,
Mhm.
and about a month into our relationship, I said, "I'm thinking about doing this." She well, not like she didn't know about it before that, but
Mhm,
like
mhm.
like, hey, this is becoming a very serious thing. In December, I signed a lease, and testament to her, she stuck with me through the whole thing.
She's like the unofficial silent partner sort of thing. And she's there
Yeah,
for everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
So
she wants, yeah,
what was your vision for that one when you were opening up? I know being a bar owner myself, I know that sometimes the space y- you can have an idea, but then the space in the neighborhood can dictate changes or what
yeah.
it's really going to be. So what
Sure.
was your idea and what did it become?
We kind of. like our mantra of playfully serving serious drinks was memorialized before we ever, started demo in the room. And while the space and the programming has changed a lot, we have never let go of that. That is still very, very true to this day. It's like, we we say a lot of times like, hey, nothing too precious, this place is fun, like, and we have like really, really high standards for that perfect beverage that goes across the bar, but we try not to take anything else too seriously,
That's awesome.
but
Very
when we opened, like we had, I mean, I think we had like 50 or 60 cocktails in the repertoire, and I think we had 80 SKUs. um Valkyrie now has 800 SKUs
Oh
and
God. That hurts my
500
brain.
cocktails in our repertoire.
So were you still behind the bar at that time when you first opened up?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was behind the bar for um I think like 6 or 7 years pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And then kind of slowly made my way out to try to
Mm.
figure out how to actually run the company.
Mm. It's a journey, that's for sure. So I have to
Yeah.
ask if I always ask this of people, and considering that you are also you're a musician yourself, you love all kinds of music, and you're in a somewhat musical town. We were just talking about being the home of the Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan Center. Have you ever been inspired by a song or an artist to create a cocktail? Did you use that as a base or song lyric or
Hmm.
something that
I
you
don't
can
think I
think of?
have, honestly. I think that like I
It's on your
I'm
to-do
always
list then.
always listening to music,
Mhm.
and I'll often like if I'm in a certain mode of like figuring out what I'm going to write. Okay, so right now I'm writing the initial cocktail menu for Maestro right now, and it's
Mhm.
like I'm listening to cumbia and calypso and boogaloo, and like and yeah, and it's inspiring, it's like,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's, my brain just starts kicking into overgear when you get inspiration from a multi-sensory place, like it's
Mhm.
just it just drives you, it just
Yeah.
accelerates me.
Well, when you are relaxing, what is your sip of choice and the music you're listening to? I'm guessing it's going to be wine.
Oh, that's a good question. For wine, my wife and I drink a lot of Willamette Pinot. We are huge, huge fans of that. We actually got to go up there a couple of years ago
Nice.
and travel around. So I think that's probably our big wine of choice. And for music, Maggie and I have very different tastes. Like she could be like listening to like the National and Wilco, and
Mm.
and and I definitely enjoy that as well. I'm gonna be listening to Beethoven.
I was going to say
Yeah.
you're going to go classical.
Yeah. But honestly, right now it's like I'm drinking a lot of agave.
Well, you're
It's
getting
such
ready.
a yeah, it's such a dynamic, interesting, the cultural
Mhm.
aspects of it, and the religion and mysticism,
Yeah.
and all the sustainability issues, and the people and the familiar, the people and their families that are producing it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just absolutely enthralled,
It's a
having
really
so much fun
special
learning about it.
category, because there is so much history and family, like you said. I mean, if you're getting the real stuff, the good stuff, you're dealing with families, that
Yeah,
some that have been doing this for generations, and it's really amazing. So
and we yeah.
Maestro is the one that's coming. And that's going to be agave centric.
Agave and sugarcane.
Mhm.
And basically, what we want to do is make the spirits and cocktail program a cross section of Latin America and the Caribbean.
Mm.
Um, and then we're doing the same thing with the food. We're working with a really, really awesome chef from New Orleans, um, uh, who is writing the menu for us and helping us with programming, the kitchen design, and
It's
hiring a
awesome.
kitchen manager. And that's his goal too. Is the cuisine is small plates centered around Latin America and the Caribbean.
Yum.
And
Mm.
he's Cuban. His family is Cuban. And so you get a
Delicious.
lot of that stuff on the menu. I'm really, really excited about it.
It's
Also,
so
really
good.
scared because it's my first time doing food.
Yeah, food's a challenge into itself, but if you've got a good chef there, someone to guide you guys, you'll probably be fine. Do you guys have a target opening date for that? Because I know nothing ever opens when you want it to, but
Yeah, I think I can confidently say this summer.
Mhm,
Um, it's a, like we are mid construction right now, but it's new construction. The
mhm.
whole building is new. So we're going
Oh wow.
in and, all of our framing is done, walk-in is done, vent hood is done. Um, we're just waiting on a few things from the landlord and was, I think, drywall this week or next.
Mhm.
So
So this is probably a good place to wrap everything up, but I wanted to ask you
sure.
before we close things out, since you were kind of joking before that Tulsa is not necessarily a tourist destination, but what would be your pitch to come visit Tulsa? If you're like, hey, here's what Tulsa has to offer. Convince us to
I,
come out
I
and see you. I mean, I want to come out because I want to try some of that Cuban food, but I want to check out the bars and the history. But what's out there?
I mean, I know that this is such a cliche thing to say, but it punches way above its weight,
Yes.
The people are rad. There's so much energy. Um, uh, uh, you know, Culture drives the market there,
Hmm.
So when an entrepreneur wants to make something happen, there's so much heart behind it because they just really, really want it to succeed.
Hmm.
We have one of the best venues in America, Kane's Ballroom here. Obviously Woody Guthrie Center and Bob Dylan Archives. Great outdoor spaces. Yeah, it's a great town. It's a lot of
Awesome.
fun. You can have a great weekend here.
Sweet. And if people want to track you and your various businesses down, what are the socials, website, et cetera, that you want to throw out for people?
So they're all the name in Tulsa. So it's Valkyrie
Okay.
Tulsa, St. Vitus Tulsa, Maestro Tulsa. Mine is Serious Dranks, but with an A. But I'm horrible at social media. So if you want me to see like occasional travel pictures or bicycling pictures or
That's what you're gonna get.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's more important they come support your businesses anyway, because it sounds like a friendly place to be, and I'm totally down for all that. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat
Thank you,
with me about all
Mo.
this today.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
So it turns out that right after I did this interview, my best friend was going to Tulsa for an appearance that he had to give at the Bob Dylan Museum. I told him to head on over to Valkyrie. He did not, but he said that some people that he had gone to the conference with did, and that they had a wonderful time. They had terrific drinks. So there's that. Make sure that you go follow all of these spots on the Instagram, Valkyrie, St. Vitus, all with Tulsa at the end of their names, and then Maestro, to see when that's going to open up. I hope soon. Best of luck, Aaron, on getting that open. And of course, there is a lovely little playlist that Aaron put together for us. You can find that over on the Music and Booze page on Spotify. So go check that out too. And thank you, Aaron, so much. It was so much fun talking to you and just hearing about all of the love that you have for this industry and for music and everything. It's just really, really invigorating. So I hope you all enjoyed the interview just as much. Thank you for tuning in to our barroom chats on Music and Booze with Mo. For more info about today's guest, or if you want to connect with me, check out my Facebook page, Mo Herms. Please subscribe to the podcast and feel free to tell all your friends about it. While you're there, give the show a rating and a review. It really helps to get the word out. If you want to hear the playlists our guests have curated, search She Be Mo on Spotify, SHEBMO. Find pictures of the interviewees and the cool stuff they create on the Music and Booze with Mo Instagram account. Lower your expectations and join us at the bar. Till next time, cheers.